All right, next I want to show you how to make your spreadsheet work like a calculator. So we're going to do some formulas. So again, I'm going to draw your attention up here. This is the formula bar, this f of x, or the function bar. So this is where we can type in formulas, but also you can type them directly into any given cell. So right now, this is going to apply to whatever cell I'm on. So if I'm here on this cell, I can double click and type directly in there and it will populate here, or vice versa. Now, we've got second digit and fourth digit lengths, and we want to calculate a ratio of second digit to fourth digit. So one way I could do that is I could type in these values. So I can use the equal sign. So we're always going to start formulas with equals. And then I could do 7.2 and then backslash, that's the division symbol, divided by 7.6, like that. Okay, and if I hit equals, it's going to give me a number. So that's 7.2 divided by 7.6. But alternatively, a more powerful way to do this is to make it calculate using a reference to the values residing in these cells rather than just typing in the numbers themselves. So we talked before about how to reference a cell. So this cell, its reference is H and 2, and similarly this is I2. So instead of these numbers, if I want to type up here, or again, I could be typing there, but I'm going to type in their references. So I want to do H2. Notice that it shows that cell selected now. Same thing, divided by, and now I2, and now it's those two cells divided by each other. Now it's going to be the same number, but the reason that that's powerful is because the spreadsheet is smart, and if I want to take this formula and I want to use the same formula here again, which is this cell divided by that cell, I could retype here. I could type H3 divided by I3, but the much faster way to do it is with this smart fill option. So when I'm on a cell that has a formula and I want to use a similar version of the formula, but just using different cells, so every time in this box, every time I'm going to divide this by that, this by that, this by that, so on and so forth. And so it knows that. And so if I hover over the bottom right-hand corner, and then I click on that, when that crosshair shows up, I can just click, hold, and drag, and automatically it will populate there. And if I just peek in at what's behind this number 0.94, I can see the formula, it's filled it in with the appropriate formula. And if I go down, H4, I4, H5, I5, so on and so forth. Okay, just like that. So we've kind of extrapolated the formula throughout a whole column, and it works in a row just the same. Okay. Now, we can, if we want to look at a range of cells, so in that case, I just did one cell divided by another cell. But in some cases, we want to calculate something about a whole group of cells. So to do that, you can specify the range by naming the first and the last cell in the range. So here's an example. We want to calculate the average height for block G. So obviously I could add these all up manually and divide by 12, but that would be a big hassle. Much easier if we just use the calculating function of the spreadsheet. So here we go, average. So I'm going to use the formula equals, and then I just tell it I want it to calculate the average. But I have to tell it the average of what? So we use parentheses to denote the fact that we're going to be selecting cells. And then I could either type it in or I can just click and drag to highlight. So if I type it in, you'll see I'm going to type in C2. That's the first cell. And then the range, to tell it that I'm going to be dealing with a range, with a colon. And then I'm going to type the last cell reference here, which would be C13. And you'll see what's going to happen. As soon as I type it, it's going to automatically highlight it for me. Now I'll show you if I delete my typing, nothing is selected now. And I can just click and drag, and you'll see that it is automatically filled with the same thing I just typed before, C2 to C13, C2 colon C13. I'll put in a closed parenthesis, but even if I hadn't, if I hit enter, it's going to work just fine. So now the average right there, average height of this class is 166.8 centimeters. Again, like we did over here, that's the average for this whole range from 1 through 12. But if I want to know the average wingspan, if I click and drag over, it's going to calculate the wingspan from D2 to D13. So if I look here now and inspect this cell, D2 to D13 is the average of that. So I can go all the way across, and super fast, we've calculated a whole bunch of averages. So it's way faster than typing stuff in manually. Okay, so that's how we can do it with averages. The last thing that I will show you is how we can calculate the standard deviation. So this is the average or the mean we're also going to call it. But in some cases, we also want to know the standard deviation of this same group of numbers. So if I'm going to do that, the sort of formatting is going to be similar. Equals, again, that just tells it that I'm going to do some calculating. And you can see it's actually already anticipated what I might want to calculate. The standard deviation. In fact, that is the formula, STDEV. But notice now it's guessing which cells I want to calculate for. I don't want to calculate them for those ones. I want to calculate them for the ones above. So I'm going to use the parenthesis, and then I'm going to select. Now, here's the important thing, is make sure that you select only the values themselves. Don't include the average value for the population. Okay, that's a statistic. It's not part of the standard deviation calculation. We only want to select the raw data. Okay, so close parentheses, I'm going to enter, and you can see the standard deviation there. So typically, we're going to report the mean and the standard deviation for a population of values. Okay, and I'll do the same thing. I can drag this all the way over, and so I've got standard deviation for each of these population measurements. Okay, in the next video, I'll show you how then to add the mean and standard deviation into some graphs, whether it's either scatter plots or bar graphs. That's it.